Victoria, a divorced working mother in her 30s, has a candid conversation with her therapist where she confesses that she can't pinpoint when her life started to unravel. Returning home to her apartment with her 2 children, she finds the babysitter Elliot there and learns that he intends to quit due to excessive work demands. He expresses feeling harassed and explains that Victoria is frequently absent. Victoria, being a lawyer, chuckles at the situation and advises him to take a break, promising to increase his salary. However, Elliot remains resolute and decides to leave. The apartment is in disarray, strewn with toys, dishes piled up in the sink, and overflowing laundry. Victoria sighs, realizing she needs to get her life back on track. She makes an effort to dress better and hires another babysitter. Later, she prepares for a photo shoot, recording herself as she tries to condition herself to be happy and enthusiastic. She is creating a video message for Axel's wedding but is too nervous to complete it. Later, during the wedding reception, Victoria has lunch with the photographer. They discuss astronomical topics, but Victoria appears quite bored. The spotlight shifts to Vincent as he is called up on stage and asked to sing. The woman with him injects energy into the atmosphere and they begin singing, exuding sweetness in front of the crowd. A chimpanzee is one of the guests, a part of the crowd. While some risky entertainment unfolds on stage, they both join in to congratulate the bride. Victoria event. Yuli steps outside to smoke. There she has a conversation with Vincent, who reveals that he plans to break up with his girlfriend due to their deteriorating relationship. Victoria unexpectedly calls Mr. Mallet, who is a former client and a distant cousin of one of the newlyweds. Vincent abruptly leaves. Mr. Mallet asks Victoria if she is happy and she responds that she works hard. Later, Mr. Mallet mentions that he's looking for a job, even willing to be a trainee. Victoria considers hiring him as a trainee, even if he works for free. The wedding is lively and Victoria joins in the dancing, especially with Mr. Mallet, who appears very drunk and ecstatic. She also dances with other people. From a distance, she observes a dog barking at Vincent. Later, she searches for someone who seems worried. Vincent's girlfriend appears to have been stabbed and is in tears, surrounded by concerned people. Later, Victoria goes to see Vincent in the interrogation room. He is a suspect in the stabbing of his girlfriend, but he claims his innocence. Vincent insists that the woman is mentally unstable and fabricating things. Vincent pleads with Victoria to defend him, citing her brilliance as a lawyer. He mentions the challenge of proving his girlfriend acted alone and suggests she is obsessed with knives. Victoria responds that she cannot defend Vincent because they are friends. Vincent counters that she has a track record of winning cases. Victoria, however, mentions that she has lost most of her recent cases. Vincent becomes frustrated and desperate, longing for a lawyer of Victoria's caliber to represent him. Later, Victoria rushes to another office where she engages in a conversation with a woman about sex and love, who cryptically suggests that someone is spying on Victoria and watching her. In the next scene, Mr. Mallet is with Victoria and her daughters, now serving as the new babysitter. It's revealed that Mr. Mallet's real name is Samuel Mallet, and he aspires to become a doctor before attending law school. As time passes, Victoria remains preoccupied with defending Vincent. Samuel expresses his desire to become Victoria's apprentice, aspiring to become a lawyer one day and even offering to be a babysitter for her. He is eager to be Victoria's assistant, and they eventually come to an agreement. Samuel will stay there and live on the couch as he embarks on this new role. Later, Victoria plays the piano for her most recent hookup. They engage in conversation, during which Victoria shares details about Vincent's predicament. EY begin to get intimate, but Victoria expresses her hesitation, not wanting to let down her friend. She emphasizes the importance of defending Vincent, and as a result the man stops the intimate moment. Later, back at home, Victoria has a conversation with Samuel. Furthermore, Victoria discusses their relationship and the ongoing case with Vincent. They both acknowledge the necessity of bolstering their case. Vincent contends that Eve is an unstable person with a promiscuous lifestyle, highlighting his complete financial support for her during the court proceedings. Victoria provides a detailed account of what transpired during the wedding party, the event where Christelle alleged assault by Vincent. Unfortunately, there are no witnesses to corroborate the story except for the family dog. Back at their home, the girl's father is present, engaging in playful activities with his daughters. Vincent is worried that he is not making a convincing case with the judge and is extremely anxious. Victoria ends he call. Later, a burly man arrives, someone Victoria has had a previous encounter with. However, Victoria wants to get to know him better before becoming more intimate. She offers him a drink for a while, then the burly man sneakily takes a pair of Victoria's underwear. Victoria brings him whiskey and they both start drinking. Gradually, the burly man becomes emotional, expressing his feelings of being trapped and unable to connect with others. He mentions a desire for intimacy but struggles to express Victoria suggests that he should consider taking a vacation to help clear his mind. Later on, Samuel creates a fake account to stalk other guests from the wedding. He also mentions Victoria's ex's blog, which is dedicated to portraying Victoria as a psychopath and defending psychopaths in general. During a convention, David reads this information out loud, maligning Victoria by portraying her as someone who spends extravagantly on and generally depicting her in a negative light. In a workshop on successful blogging, Victoria becomes visibly angered and scolds David for spreading lies and rumors about her. She expresses her concern that these actions could endanger her or her children in the future. David defends himself, claiming it's a work of fiction and that he's showcasing his talent by sharing his own life experiences. Victoria, already frustrated, becomes even more incensed by his selfish response. Meanwhile, Susanna is at the office building, visibly upset about a case involving Victoria defending someone she perceives as a psychopath. She can't believe that Victoria is representing the woman and a victim and witness in the case, claim that it has ruined her life. Susanna later goes home to her kids and finds Samuel cleaning the place. Samuel takes care of the girls, but they prove to be a handful, especially when he takes their iPad away. Later they decide to take the only witness in the crime, the dog, in a lab for a sniff test. However, Vincent dismisses the idea, believing that the testimony New York of a dog is not to be taken seriously. Victoria acquires another client, a woman who is another victim of a man, and the woman pours her heart out to Victoria. Later, in a similar setting, Victoria goes to see a shrink and talks about her ex-husband who comes from money but lacks character. The story of her female client bears a striking resemblance to her own life, and Victoria, feeling stressed, lights up a cigarette. In a candid moment, Victoria confides in her client about her own dilemma, sharing her experience of opening up to David only for him to use it against her. Back in the shrink's office, Victoria remains quiet for a while. Later, she engages in an intimate encounter with another man who expresses his love for himself. During their encounter, she starts discussing metaphysical aspects of sex and shares her thoughts on the experience with this man. However, suddenly she begins to feel a panic attack coming on. She wakes up Sam and he helps her calm down and fetches her medicine. Afterward, Sam continues to assist Victoria in calming down, and she is impressed with his skills. Sam mentions that he used to help individuals who were high on crack. Victoria's hookup eventually leaves, and Sam helps her get some much-needed sleep. He attempts to kiss her but doesn't push it further, so later down the road, Victoria gets a letter that's like a punch to the gut. She's so ticked off that she chucks her brick phone at the wall. Why? Well, because this letter says she's got to testify in Vincent's case. But hey, there's a silver lining. A lawyer steps up to defend Victoria because Christelle is still on her case, trying to make life hard for her. Unfortunately, Victoria gets slapped with a 6-month suspension because she blabbed about the case to a witness. Things get pretty heated in the courtroom, and in the end of it all, Victoria faints. Don't worry though, Sam's there to catch her. He rushes over to lend a hand. While Victoria's thankful for his help, she decides it's best to let him go for now, since she won't be practicing for a while due to her suspension. So down the line, Jamal steps up to take over Vincent's case. Vincent rings up Victoria, all anxious about it, and later Jamal gives her a call too. He spills the beans, saying he convinced Eve not to drop her complaint and hold on to your hats because Eve and Vincent have patched things up. Next on the agenda, Victoria decides to pay Christelle a visit and give her a piece of her mind. She lays into her about all the blunders in the case, really giving an earful. After that, Victoria goes to see a tarot reader, thinking she might find some answers. The reader starts talking about how Victoria's life is stuck in a loop, kind of like her history with Victoria's quick to clarify that she's off. But man, this tarot reader just can't seem to give her any satisfying readings. It's like a real head scratcher. Feeling a bit lost, she swings by an aromatherapist for some advice. The aromatherapist drops some wisdom, saying that finding in your work doesn't all eyes mean you're enjoying it. Jumping back to the shrink's place, Victoria is doing some soul-searching, thinking about all those not-so-great choices she's made at home. Sweet home. Her daughter lays it all out, telling Victoria just how much she loves her. That gets her smiling with a few tears in the mix. Victoria's been home more lately thanks to her work suspension, so she's really stepping up for her kids. Christelle is giving her a hand too, but here's the kicker: Victoria is starting to look like she's got a new BFF in alcohol. She's got that stone vibe going on. She's been bonding more with her kids, but the apartment, well, it's still a mess. They even got a new pet, a fluffy rabbit, but Victoria, she's running on low batteries. Fast forward 6 months, and guess who's on the line? David, bragging about his Tumblr award. He goes all in and asks Victoria if they should give their relationship another shot. Victoria's got some mixed feelings, so she dials up Samuel to spill the beans. So Sam rolls back into the apartment, and Victoria's got her detective glasses on. She can tell something's different about him, but in a good way. Samuel drops the bomb. He got accepted into law school and is on the upswing, just like Victoria encouraged him to be. Victoria gives him the green light, saying he's welcome anytime, and she's got his back on the job front. She also slips in that her suspension's old news now. And it's high time to get back to the grind. Later things heat up between Samuel and Victoria. They lock lips. And you can guess where that's headed. It's an explosive intimate encounter. Vincent drops a voicemail bomb on Victoria, spilling the beans that he's in hot water again. His ex is suing him. Drama much. Jamal, the mediator extraordinaire, calls right after with the lowdown that Vincent's throwing down with the doorman. It's not great, but at least it's manageable. Vincent eventually does the walk of shame to Victoria's place to chew the fat about the case, but he looks like he's been through a blender both mentally and physically. He's still playing the victim card, but Victoria's patience is wearing thin, especially since he's back in cahoots with Eve, all thanks to their hot and heavy intimacy sessions. As if that wasn't enough, it's dawning on Victoria that Vincent's crazier than a bag of cats, especially with more women coming forward with tales of his not-so-great treatment. Samuel, ever the voice of reason, drops a truth bomb. Victoria's pretty much hit her professional limit. Victoria and Samuel are back in action, tag teaming on the case. In hushed tones, Victoria tells Sam that what they shared the other night was amazing, but they've got to keep their personal and professional lives on different tracks. Meanwhile, David, the drama king, is fuming mad at Victoria. He storms into her office and turns the place into a war zone. Her colleague pops in with the scoop that David's gotten himself a one-way ticket to hotel police custody. Victoria is not one to stay down for long, though. She gets back in the sad Lou is a defense lawyer ready to tackle the case. She and Sam sit down with Vincent, dishing out advice like they Gordon Ramsay critiquing a dish. They're coaching Vincent on how to look the part, dress the part, and act the part in court to keep those doubts and suspicions at bay. Worried about her safety, Victoria rolls up to court with her own personal guardian angel. They're ready to face the music inside the courtroom. It's showtime as they go after Vincent. Chevier, with her complaints from way back in 2008, steps up as the star witness, pointing fingers at Vincent for during their cohabitation. Victoria, like a seasoned detective, grills Miss, shares about her past with Vincent. She's got some fiery questions up her sleeve, like a magician pulling rabbits out of hats. One of her big tricks revealing that Miss Shares has a habit of pointing fingers at different men for the same crimes. The courtroom drama continues with more of Vincent's former flames taking the stand. Sparks are flying, tensions are rising, and Victoria's in the center ring, ready to put on a legal spectacle. Now here comes the juicy part. Victoria is not just playing defense, she's going on the offense. She drags David to court for trashing her office and throwing some serious online shade her way. Her colleague Jean takes the mic to defend Victoria's honor. She goes all in, arguing that David's blog is practically a wrecking ball to Victoria's professional image, with his wild tales of her cozying up to judges. But David, oh boy, he's got an ego the size of a zeppelin. He struts into court like he's Shakespeare reincarnated, declaring himself a literary genius. Back in the therapist's office, Victoria spills the tea. David's got nuclear on her, trashing her office and suggesting she's using some secret judge wooing skills. It's a hot mess, and Victoria is not holding back on her therapist. Now picture this: Samuel and Victoria chilling in a cafe dissecting David's bizarre writing escapades. Samuel's got this theory that David is like a passionate artist gone rogue, but hey, it's all a bit too niche for your average reader. Meanwhile, in the courtroom, we've got the dog whisperer giving us the lowdown on how a dog's body language can solve crimes. He's got video evidence, folks, with that tail wagging action and all. But here comes Victoria, guns blazing, in her cross-examination. She's got this vet on the ropes, grilling him about his dog obsession and his rap sheet of witness testimonies. She's swinging for the fences, calling his testimony New York inadmissible. In the middle of the trial, they pull a wild stunt. They bring Eve up in front of the dog, and it's all Cal vibes. But the moment Vincent jumps into the scene, the dog's alarm bells start ringing. Here's the kicker: when Victoria gets closer to Eve, the dog does a 180 and goes all friendly. The court, though, isn't buying it. They chuck the vet's testimony out, thinking the poor pup's just having a bad day. In Victoria's own case, the judge reads the blog entry from David that maligns her as a vid claims it's fiction, but the judge points out that even though it's fiction, it portrays a non-fictional person. Victoria meets with Sam and asks if she is a monster, to which Samuel responds with no, he doesn't see her that way and considers her harmless. Victoria expresses doubts about her relationship with Samuel, saying that he is not a danger zone for her, but she's now taking the relationship more seriously. So Victoria, in her investigative mode, delves deep into the background of the star witness, the dog. But hold on to your hats, folks, because the trial is turning into a full-on Animal Kingdom showdown. Now they've just added the chimpanzee to the mix, and Victoria is on her detective game, cross-referencing the ape's owner. This owner claims their chimp can take photos, and they try to show off his skills. The chimp decides to be a bit of a troublemaker. They've got to make a quick exit, but here's the twist: that little rascal snapped tons of photos. Now brace yourself for the jaw-dropper. One of those pics catches even a pretty compromising position: her dress. That's a major contradiction to her tale about Vincent's alleged snatching escapades. Fast forward to the end of the court showdown: Victoria and Vincent posing like celebrities with none other than the chimp paparazzo himself, the genius behind those revealing photos. Back at home with Sam, his computer is broken. Before Sam can share his story, Vincent arrives to discuss something personal about Victoria's character shortly. Aft. Our David returns home with the kids, followed by another unexpected visitor. Victoria's world becomes chaotic as she has to attend to Vincent, who is having a panic attack. Sam, looking tired and a bit morose, asks for some rest. Sam confesses that he likes Victoria very much but realizes that he is more in love with his imagination of her. He hopes the situation will change and Victoria will genuinely prioritize him. He also admits to taking some money from her, but he justifies it by the trust she placed in him when she confided in him. Victoria pleads with Sam not to leave, but he remains resolute. The guard is still outside watching over Victoria. Meanwhile, the girls are making a mess, seemingly oblivious to the turmoil the adults are in. Victoria retrieves her medicines once more. Victoria locks herself in her room to study the case, but later loses consciousness due to an overdose of medication. The guard and Sam wake her up and help her vomit to get rid of the excess. A doctor arrives and Victoria gains consciousness. Sam decides to let it and the guard go. He rushes Victoria to get up and dress as she's running late for another court date. To combat her illness, Victoria sniffs amphetamines to get a sugar rush and feels somewhat normal. Sam and Victoria hurry to the station with Vincent, but Victoria is still unwell. Sam is furious with Vincent, blaming him for Victoria's deteriorating condition because of the case. They arrive at the court, which is now filled with people showing great interest in the proceedings. Victoria vomits again. She ends up in the same waiting area as Eve, who leaves the cubicle in tears. The court trial begins, and despite looking like she hasn't had a good night's sleep, Victoria starts to speak. She questions whether a dog can serve as a reliable basis for giving a verdict or if it constitutes substantial evidence, especially in cases like murder. She mentions that surveys suggest the intelligence of a dog witness is questionable. Suddenly Victoria recalls a moment with Sam, but shakes it off, trying to focus on the present. She's losing moments but strives to stand her ground. Victoria also emphasizes that Evie's instability returning to her alleged aggressor weakens the case. In the bathroom, she washes up and prepares to leave. Victoria and Vincent are ambushed for interviews. It turns out the case was a success and they are asked about the potential for animals to become clients. On the train ride home with Sam no longer present, Vincent expresses relief that tease all over. Victoria is convinced that he and Eve will get back together again. Victoria rushes to get to another courthouse for her own case, but due to her absence the judges reject the charges against David. Instead, they order him to pay a small amount in euros for damages and change the names of the characters on his blog. David retains the right to the blog and feels that he has received justice. Victoria tries to call Samuel, but he has already disappeared. When she returns to her apartment, she unexpectedly finds Samuel with his bags. She expresses her gratitude to him and forgives him for stealing money. However, she wants more from their relationship and asks Samuel to live with her. In a moment of realization, Victoria admits to herself that she's in love with Samuel and feels happy. However, Samuel maintains his poker face. Later, they share a kiss, signifying their agreement to stay together.